In the FIDE World Cup, the round 5 tiebreaks took place today. So we had Wei Yi against Peter Svidler and Shahriar Mamedyarov against Sergei Karjakin. Let's take a look at Mamedyarov against Karjakin first. So they played two 25-minute games. First of those games was drawn, a very tedious Berlin defence where Karjakin with white really didn't show anything very original and Mamedyarov equalised very easily. Game 2, Mamedyarov with white showed much more enterprise. In this position, he has the white pieces and he found a very nice, very dangerous exchange sacrifice. So he's managed to gain control over the 7th rank, and Black's king is, potentially in some danger here. But what was impressive was that Karjakin defended so coolly in this position. I mean, this is very scary. You know, maybe you can take another pawn, take h7. But Karjakin, after not too long, found rook c2. Rook g7 check. Rook takes h7. This is a frightening position for Black to play, but again, Karjakin really had this under control. So first of all, he took here. And now here is a crunch moment in the game. White would very much like to bring his king to join the attack, and then there'd be some kind of mating net. e4, excellent move. King g4, this is very testing. If e3, then king g5 followed by king g6 is rather dangerous, but Karjakin, after very little thought, snuffed this out and then brought the rook back into play with rook c5. So it means if, for example, bishop c3, let's say, then rook h5 and the danger is gone. So at this moment, Mamedyarov decided to take that rook. Of course, he could have done this over the last few moves. But that's the trick. Black manages to get that bishop, and now the position has simplified. Karjakin attacked these two pawns, and in this position, they agree to draw. Black is going to take on b4. Equal position. So, interesting attack from Mamedyarov, but very well met by Karjakin. In their next game, well, this was also a Spanish, but in this game, oh, by the way, so the first two 25-minute games were drawn. So they now play two 10-minute games. So once again, it's a Berlin, but Karjakin keeps more tension with d3. And they have a very typical Spanish position has arrived on the board. Now, it looks like a very modest system for white, and in fact it's Mamedyarov who seizes the initiative in the centre with d5. When I was looking at previous games in this line, it's incredible that the famous names that have played exactly this position, well, I've got here Smyslov and Botvinnik, for example, Emanuel Lasker, Rubinstein. I mean, it's all some of the greatest names in chess history. Here, Botvinnik played the exchange on e4 and then bishop e6 against Smyslov, and I mean, that's a fantastic game. If you want to look that one up, absolutely incredible game by both players. But Mamedyarov pushed forward with d4, and this move, well, this very much reflects the kind of play from both players in this match. Karjakin is kind of hanging back with his play, playing very sound chess, but very modest chess. It's Mamedyarov who is pushing forward all the time. This is very much their styles. h3. Okay, again, very calm from Karjakin. Knight d7. This knight would like to come around potentially to c5. Put some pressure on d3. Now, several moves have been played before, but after a little think, Karjakin came up with a very clever move, bishop b3. So the idea is that knight c5 can be met by bishop d5. That's annoying. And if knight b6, well, then you take on d4 and keep that bishop on this diagonal. And, well, with the knight not coming to c5, white has kind of gained something there. Mamedyarov played bishop b7, but very quickly he got into huge trouble here. He should probably play knight a5 here to exchange off that bishop. But instead he did this, and now white is certainly gaining control, and c4 is a very nasty move for black to meet, threatening c5 obviously. Knight a4, well, that gets covered, and now it's extraordinary, but black is in huge trouble in this position. You wouldn't think so. You know, one would think that black can blockade on c5, but there's a problem here. Rook b1, and in combination with the bishop, this completely upsets black. And otherwise, if rook b8 trying to address that problem, then white actually wins material. That bishop is trapped on d6, and when this is exchanged, then white is winning material here. So Mamedyarov played bishop b4, and now c5 is probably winning straight away. The knight on a4 is in trouble, but Karjakin very quickly played in a really pragmatic way. He simply won a pawn here. So he's a pawn up, and he just held his extra pawn. He didn't really do anything very special. And, well, after some time in this position, basically Karjakin's still a pawn up, and Mamedyarov lost on time. So super solid from Karjakin, very pragmatic. So they a must-win. Mamedyarov was in a must-win situation in the next 10-minute game. Again, Karjakin just played like a rock, and you can see here he's got knights in nice positions. Queen is standing well, passive, but it's very hard for white to break through. And, well, actually Karjakin sacked a pawn here to get rid of one of those bishops. Now, if you look at this position and you compare it with this position, you'll see basically the pawn structure hasn't changed, and this is on move 58. So Karjakin has done very little. At this moment, Mamedyarov decided to break, but it didn't really help him. And, well, let me go on to this position. Again, the players just shuffled around, Mamedyarov trying to find a way to break through. But you can see not a lot has happened. And here, Mamedyarov is trying to play a pawn break. e4 is a really nice move. If that pawn is taken, then knight a4. So another nice pawn sack, but now Karjakin actually starts to take control. This e-pawn is too strong. And again, Karjakin is just shifting around. Mamedyarov really short of time. And Mamedyarov fell prey to a tactic. If king takes, then rook h8, and if, well, rook takes happened, but knight f2 check. In this match, I had the impression that Mamedyarov was just kind of beating his head against a brick wall, and when he sort of tottered back, exhausted, Karjakin just kind of pushed him over with a cheap tactic. Karjakin was solid. He played very responsibly, very strategically correct, and Mamedyarov just ran out of steam. So Karjakin goes through into the next round. I'm going to actually take a look at Svidler against Wei Yi in another recording, because I haven't got time here. So in my next video, I'll look at Svidler against Wei Yi.